last chapter, it was made very apparent that Sombra is what most people would call immortal. Obviously, as Hirohiko surmises earlier in this chapter that Cloud Gouger was able to have strong attacks but an interval between them, it's obvious there is some kind of restriction to Suzaku, which is Tobimune's third and final ability. Now, Suzaku, a legendary bird in Asian mythology, Japanese, both Japanese and Chinese, stands for the phoenix. It's a different interpretation of the phoenix. And of course, with Sombra being able to use Suzaku as an ability, he's able to completely heal himself of all wounds entirely, almost as if he is reborn in flames. Tobimune also gives Sombra access to flames and fire attacks, which just makes him that much more devastating and destructive to go up against in battle. Sombra was an instantly teleporting, dangerous warrior. Add in the fact that he can just imbue all of his sword attacks with flames to the point that he can completely encompass an entire large building, the entire Bloodshed Hotel, in one strike. The main star of the show, despite having they both rise and fall in the same chapter, is Hirohiko, because as the person in this situation with the lowest amount of experience with their enchanted blade Kumayori, with the fact that he hasn't had the time he needs to make play the ability that allows him to control objects, come into his own. And what I mean by that is Hirohiko's big downside when it comes to getting the luck of the draw on the enchanted blade of Kumayori play is, as we found out last chapter, the ability that allows you to quite literally control objects. Unfortunately for Hirohiko, you gain ability with play the more you have a respect and the more you have an understanding of something that you are controlling. So, for example, as is depicted in the chapter, you have the biwa that the Kumayori spirit is playing. And by understanding and learning how to utilize the biwa to its fullest extent, play is able to use the biwa at an expert level. Hirohiko, unfortunately, has a double-edged sword when it comes to this. Hirohiko, as we know from the age of 3, was killing people. Someone tried to force themselves on him and he was not at all having that and was willing to bite through that person's neck, as we get the flashback of in this chapter. Because of this, Hirohiko has never had respect for life, for anything, more or less. Hirohiko has the special ability to be able to control corpses because he deems them as objects. Because he has no respect for them, he isn't able to control them and puppeteer them as masterfully as he would like. This downside ends up putting him at a big disadvantage against someone like Seichi Sombra, who has had plenty of battles before this to enter his own true realm and gain new abilities with his blade. We don't know how long it took for Sombra to get to the level that he's at, but it's easy to assume that Tobimune might not have looked like it does now in its original state. The ability to teleport to every single feather that you release, awaken flames, and actually rebirth yourself despite lethal injuries. Who knows what Sombra has been through? It's very clear that based off the small little cutaway gags we get in this chapter of a painter looking upon a artwork of a phoenix and saying that they witnessed the phoenix, this exact painting, in the Seichi War. Speaking of the true realm, forced into a corner and the odd one out in this three-way battle, Hirohiko is unable to stand against Chihiro, who is able to just empower Nishiki and completely throw Banquet just out of the equation. And because he's not that capable of play with corpses, Sombra with Suzaku and Chihiro with all of his Enten abilities now are going to mow right through Hirohiko. But this determination, this inspiration brought on by the potential of dying, allows Hirohiko to once again form freedom, take what the foundation he's been given and turn it into something that is his own, his intuitive thinking. He's already turned Pure White Ei style into his own ability. He's now taking Kumayori, the enchanted blade, and awakening its own synchronization. And instead of hallucinating and using Banquet to make illusions, he manipulates play in a way that says, screw using corpses, I'm going to take the entire Bloodshed Hotel and shatter it to pieces. forces, make it crumble apart and turn to stone. Not only sends a bunch of corpses that knock Sombra clean out of the building and sends him flying away, Hirohiko, bringing down the entire building, thinks he has just set up the perfect arena for him and Chihiro to take on and finish their third round. And the worst part about everything, all of this determination, all of this inspiration that Hirohiko has built up, so that way he can have this last bout with Chihiro, despite having every possible opportunity, excuse, and reason to escape, bites Hirohiko in the ass. One thing that you can give Hirohiko is his willingness to think outside the box helped him create this exact scenario. However, his unwillingness to respect the masters, the people that have been here long before, is what inevitably makes his downfall in this battle. By immediately disregarding Sombra, he leaves himself wide open for complete obliteration. When Hirohiko looks back to Chihiro, thinking that it's just them now that can continue the battle, he notices that Chihiro's still on guard. Chihiro hasn't even stopped to look at Hirohiko. When Hirohiko questions this, he turns and realizes that's because, despite flying out of the building, Sombra is ramping his attack power back up and slamming himself right back through the Bloodshed Hotel. And as flames engulf the entire building, this winged angel ripping all of his power down, we get that last and final quick little flashback of the painter discussing that the flames aren't a flame of danger. Sombra's true realm, the ability that he's awakened to after multiple battles in the Seichi War, after all of his PTSD and everything that his philosophy of taking on all of the guilt himself, killing his own enchanted blade allies, and even killing Kunishige Rokuhira's son at one point, desiring to do the same thing again, not giving him a second chance. Hirohiko's got plenty of years left before he compares to an all or nothing rampaging blitz of Sombra's Suzaku flames. But instead of completely destroying the entire building, he completely reverse Uno cards everything, and the Bloodshed Hotel is repaired without a scratch, making Hirohiko's true realm disappear as if it never happened at all. Negative aura for Hirohiko as he cries, pisses, and shits himself, watching Sombra the Phoenix just twirl his blade in his fingers lightly, ever so effortlessly, as he goes to kill this young, dumb, and ignorant Hishaku member. But right in that moment, Chihiro shows up, ready to draw pure white Ei style. Is Hirohiko gonna survive because Chihiro saves him? That would be ironic as all hell. This chapter was truly the rise and fall and the proof of where Hirohiko's limits lie. Remember, this is the first time he's ever used Kumayori. He might have been able to study it and learn the abilities beforehand, but he can't release the blade, otherwise Sombra would have killed him and fought him earlier. So, up against two masters, despite Hirohiko being able to clobber and cut through all of these previous traditional hierarchies up until this point, he is not skipping his way past the levels of enchanted true realm. You might be able to beat the one sword style, but you can't beat Sombra Seichi. Is Hirohiko gonna die? Is this the last we've ever seen of him? Is that third ability that he neglected to use going to save him? Is Chihiro going to save Hirohiko? Who knows? But all I know is I'm going to be here every week reading this series and covering it with you guys. So if you haven't already, hit that like button. I sincerely appreciate you, and I'll see you guys next chapter. Peace, peace, peace.